Now, healthcare, Obamacare, here it is, basically decreed government knows best. Your health insurance must cover whatever we say. That includes things that you may not want, like maternity care. I don't want that. Substance abuse treatment, and so on. You don't want to pay for it? Too bad. You have to. And those are just a few of the restrictions in this huge law. Many of the restrictions are imposed on states, but now some state governors are fighting back. Governors like Indiana's Mitch Daniels, who just sent a letter to the White House saying, you want us states to run your insurance exchanges? Then drop some of your intrusive rules. So, Governor Daniels, what rules are you talking about?
John, you just named some of them, the mandated benefits that'll make this health insurance too expensive for a lot of people. There are all sorts of limitations and instructions about which insurance companies will be permitted. It'll narrow the range of choice. It'll throw a lot of people out of the coverage that they have today and would like to keep. There are very serious discrimination provisions against health savings accounts, and the sort of consumerist care that we have found in Indiana is the most effective way to keep health care costs under some control. So you stated it accurately. This bill wants to conscript the 50 states to be the agents of the federal government in implementing this thing, and we said not so fast. If you're going to do that, we have a very, very different bill in mind.
And it really is a perfect example of big central planning that you want them to give you exemptions to. You call it a massive mistake. It'll amplify all the big drivers of overconsumption. What do you mean?
We pay people not for how well they do, and the doctors and hospitals and clinics, we pay them for how much they do, so they have an incentive that they act on to do more and more and more. This bill just takes all those problems and makes them bigger.
And I like the way you put it in your op-ed. People will say, why not? It's free. And the more I do, the more stuff I get. This is an invitation to go to the doctor more often, to get more free stuff.
Yeah, it's true. I can tell you that here in Indiana, we've had some pretty interesting experiences. 5 out of 6 of our state employees and all the members of a program for the uninsured that we created have personal accounts. They make the first dollar decisions. Money they don't spend is theirs to keep and to save and to grow. It's not a complete answer, but I'll tell you, we see a very sharp difference in the cost once people are taking ownership, personal responsibility for their own health care. Insurance in every other dimension, every other realm is there for the very expensive, unexpected event, but not in health care. What we call health insurance isn't, and we ought to move back in the direction that works well in the rest of life.
You want individuals to be allowed to make their own decisions about what insurance they can buy.
Yes, I've often said that we won't have cost control in health care until we're all cost controllers, asking those basic questions that you ask when you recognize that it's your money at stake. And there's a human dignity question, too. I think, honestly, that we ought to be looking for every way in America today to honor the autonomy, the personal dignity of the individual, to trust people with their own decisions, whether it's about health care or where their kids go to school or just by leaving them more tax dollars.
That's the spontaneous order that this program is about. I wonder, you're asking for exceptions to the law. Why don't you just fight the whole law? Repeal, fight to get a court to throw it out. Repeal it.
Thanks for asking. No, everybody who signed that letter, including Indiana,
and you got 21 other states to sign the letter.
Right, 115 million Americans represented by those 21, and I think we'll have more, by the way, joining. But it's very important to say we do hope, really, that this very misguided and I think a dangerous law will not stand. If Congress possibly can, it ought to repeal this law and start over in a direction along the lines we've been discussing. But I also said in the op-ed, there's just no way we can count on that. Out here in the states, we have to deal in reality. We can't count on a miracle the way they do in Washington.
And I like the harsh language you use. You know, I think of you as sort of a nerdy Princeton technocrat, but Obamacare, all the claims made for it were false. It will add trillions to the deficit.
Well, John, I don't know that that's harsh. We just believe in Indiana, speaking plainly, the claims that it was going to reduce the deficit evaporated a long time ago. The claims that it was going to lower health care costs, certainly not true. The claims that you could keep the insurance that you'd have, we all know tens of millions of people will be chucked out of the plans they've got. So, not trying to be harsh here. Our letter, I think it's fair to say, is offered in a constructive spirit. It's just we have a very, very different concept of what's fair and right and what'll work.
Has the central planner, I mean the secretary, responded to your letter?
No, but in fairness, she's only had it for a day or two. But I hope they'll take it seriously. You know, if they try to do this out of Washington, I think you'll have a first-class train wreck. And they know that too, so maybe they'll think about our suggestions.
Well, you're right. If there's going to be a train wreck, we'd rather be spectators than conductors. Thank you very much, Governor Mitch Daniels.
Okay, John.
Coming up, a senator finally proposes some serious cuts to the federal budget. Senator Rand Paul joins us next.
How to choose car insurance without feeling like you've been ripped off. Take identical cars. One covered by Geico